So good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to an episode of the Caffeinated Librarians, MPL's pop culture podcast. So today kicks off our fantasy film series, and we're going to be discussing the 2024 Japanese animated film, The Imaginary, which is animated by Studio Ponok. And this is Studio Ponok's second full-length animated film. So the first one was Mary and the Witch's Flower in 2017, which is also a really great film that you can catch on Netflix. So this is going to be a summary that will be spoiler-free because this is what the summary that they give when you watch the trailer, and then afterwards there will be spoilers. So just wanted to...
Because we're going to be talking about the entire movie, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, so spoiler-free section, spoilers afterwards, you've been warned. Alrighty, so the basic premise of... You just threw me off. I was doing so good.
But were you?
I was doing good. Fine, do you want to do the intro?
No, please.
Okay.
You were doing good.
Thank you. All right, so the story is about a young girl named Amanda Shuffleup who has conjured an imaginary friend named Rudger.
Shuffle up.
It's such a silly last name.
It sounded a lot better in the Japanese language because, like, in the English one, they were just like, "Hello, Mrs. Shuffleup," and I was just like, "Oh."
It's terrible. Yeah.
So, and I should mention also, this is based on a children's novel of the same name.
Yes, it is.
What a depressing book.
Yeah. So she conjures Rudger in order to cope with the loss of her father.
Not Roger.
Yeah.
Rudger.
Yes.
Rudger.
Yes. So in order to cope with the loss of her father, she's conjured this imaginary friend.
Okay.
Things are going pretty well. However, their friendship is threatened by the arrival of a really creepy man named Mr. Bunting and his sinister, grudge-esque companion. And essentially, Mr. Bunting seeks out imaginaries to consume them and obtain their power for his own.
She was more like The Ring.
Yeah. And he's been doing this for a very long time. So that's the end of the spoiler-free section. Now we will be getting into spoilers. So, what did you guys think?
So, I'll bat lead off here.
Sure.
Do y'all remember Bubble?
Oh.
Here we go.
It wasn't at that level, thankfully. And actually, I didn't mind this movie at all. I watched the first half in English, which was a English version, and the second half in Japanese. The English is terrible. Like, just watch it in Japanese, read the subtitles. It's worth it.
Yes.
I have questions. I have things I didn't fully get. Mm-hmm. But I feel like we'll get into those in discussion. But I think I generally liked it. Didn't dislike it. Mm-hmm. So you're not going to get a Bubble episode from Lewis today, as much as you guys might have wanted that. I'm sorry.
Wonderful. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It was very pretty, but every sad trope you could add, like dead dad, kid in the hospital, single mom struggling and maybe dealing with alcoholism. She's talking about her mom getting drunk at night.
They do, yeah, right?
Yeah.
That's what I brought that to.
Like, people are dying, an imaginary friend gets murked. Like, it was just so much. So much sadness.
Yeah, not what I expected from a kids movie.
Best thing about this movie, though, is there are some good homies in here.
Yes. They're really great.
There's
side
Fridge.
I
Love Fridge. He's a big old dog. He rules. Cruncher of Bones.
Cruncher of Bones is my favorite.
I like that he became a panda.
Yeah.
Yeah, the whole space sequence, I was honestly having a blast with. I was like, "Aw, this is cute," and I like that he found a home.
Yeah, it was very sweet.
Yeah, Snowflake the hippo. I was like, "All right, you're fun."
I like Snowflake and their little tail that's a flower.
Yeah.
It's very
Zinzan, the gruff alley cat one.
I know.
Overall, I think it might hit harder for me if I was a kid, but it was pretty fun. There was pretty animation. So some of the plot I'm kind of like, about.
Yeah.
Like, the villain is the only adult with an imagination, and I'm like, I feel like I feel like more adults have imaginations, and if you have one as an adult, that doesn't mean you're eating 10-year-old boy imaginary friends on the daily, you know?
Yeah.
And is he human?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, that's
he's
what
a
I
guy.
don't get.
And he can live forever
I
because he's
think
eating them.
The way I understood it was when they briefly talk about Mr. Bunting's background. So his imaginary, I hesitate to call her a companion because she's essentially enslaved to him. She's not there willingly. But
Samara.
because she's not given a name. But he imagined her as a child, and then he had a hard time letting go. Like, when he was a child, she was his imaginary
He's
friend.
a messed up kid.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
he had a difficult time letting go, and he managed to sort of ingest her, and then he realized,
No,
I
no,
can...
it was one of his friends' imaginary friends that he ate.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah.
no, and then it didn't... Oh, sorry, my
Yes,
bad.
there was someone else's imaginary, which is makes it so much.
And I think
so
through
good.
ingesting the imaginaries, he assumes their, like, or he also ingests their power. So I think the way I understood it is the reason why he's able to do what he does is because of the imaginaries that he's eaten for about 100 years. So I
And
think,
he's technically not human.
yeah, so
anymore.
their power becomes his power, which is
So
why
he's
he can
eating
affect,
other imaginaries.
Yes,
Yes.
which is why he
So
can
why is he
affect-
so hung up on Raja?
Because he smells like sadness, and that is apparently the most delicious smelling spice.
Yeah, and also I think he can also control the world of the imagination because he says that all the power he can impact it. He's almost like a dream walker, if you want to use that analogy, where he can impact, or it's like lucid
I was just
dreaming,
like-
This is
where you can impact your dream world.
It's the bad ending to Dream Warriors. He's
Yeah.
one of those kids.
Yeah, that's essentially almost what it's like, where if like you're lucid dreaming and you can assume control of the dream. Only in this case, he's lucid imagining, and he can assume control. Like when the character Emily passes away, he's assumed control.
He murders her.
He
murders her.
She passes away because she's murdered. He can control the imagination world. Remember, he starts altering it.
Yes.
Because
So
he's,
I think that's why, because of all the imaginaries he's consumed.
well, that's because he's technically not human anymore.
Yeah.
He like lives in this space between imagination and reality. Because
Yeah.
when, spoiler, his imaginary friend has bodily autonomy, she gives it back to herself.
Yeah.
He is killed by reality, and that's a little like out
Yeah.
here for me, but
Perhaps the
He's
book would
killed.
explain more. A lot of times that's what it is. I'm sure the book has probably a more logical explanation of how the universe works. Like it, what I like, because I'm never someone who had an imaginary friend. I don't know whether it's because
How do you know we're not imaginary?
Because that would be a whole other story, and like I'd have to.
That'd be
really
the Matrix.
question my sanity at this point. So I never had one, but what I did love was the purpose that the imaginaries have, and I think it is heartbreaking. After Amanda's accident, she essentially goes into a coma.
Yeah, for a
gets hit
kids
by a
movie, she gets hit
car.
by a car.
Yeah, because she and Rutger are running away from Mr. Bunting, and she's in her panic. She's not
What
paying.
did you say, Rutger?
Rutger.
Roger.
My bad.
Roger.
Roger.
She's very explicit about that at the
Yeah.
end.
Roger. It's
Roger.
not. Listen, it's not a name that flows smoothly. Roger, and also Mr. Bunting calls him Roger to begin with, but which I find so funny.
Which is why she gets so angry at the
Yeah.
end. She's like, that's not his
So
name.
they're running away from him, and she obviously in her panic is in pain. She gets hit by a car and she goes into a coma. So because obviously her brain is, I don't know how comas work, but let's just say her brain's asleep. Whatever you want to say, it's probably not the term.
She's in a
not.
coma.
Yeah, she's
That's
not.
the term.
Oh. I will throw something at you. What I'm trying to say is that because she is not actively thinking of him,
he starts
I
to
know the term
disappear.
is coma, Lou. I'm talking about what happens to your brain when you're in a coma. She's not actively thinking of him. He's in danger of disappearing.
He starts to disappear.
Okay. So.
Oh my god, it's like a wounded dog movie
Yeah.
where the cat shows up and he's like, you need to come with me or you're gonna die, and he's like, but Amanda, and then he starts to die.
Yeah.
And it's so sad.
The heartbreaking one is when he's on the roof and he comes across the other imaginary that's slowly fading. And like what sort of breaks my heart is that the fact that these imaginaries give their all for the person who's created them, and then eventually they become obsolete. And they go to the library, which is what I loved. Because as librarians, like, oh, I
Very
love that the
sweet.
magical place they go to is the library. Like,
It's filled with imagination.
yes, so like I love that. I love the library workers just going about their business, and then at night, when night falls, that's when things come alive.
Very
So-
Night at the Museum.
Yeah.
Of it.
So I did appreciate that they have a place to go, because I assume they just completely disappear. I love the idea of going to like the unemployment office, so to speak,
Yeah.
and looking for people to sort
Yeah,
of.
that was funny.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's funny but heartbreaking at the same time, because like you're hoping to find your forever home again, which the Cruncher of Bones does. I love when he gets the hearts in his eyes.
So
Well,
cute.
Or it's
Roger
eyes.
almost found his forever home too, but he got a little,
Yeah.
little scared.
That was a little much. She's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, what a crazy kid that.
She wasn't
Julia?
crazy. She was going
Juliet?
through a lot of pressure. She had her parents are like tiger parents, like
Well, that's why she's.
Is that
like,
a term?
Yeah.
Tiger parent?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why she's
It means, like,
screaming at
what does it
the
mean?
imaginary friend to be
Tiger
perfect
parent means that
because
they're
that's
very
what her
strict.
parents treat her.
There was even a woman who wrote a book called, I think, Tiger Mom.
Yeah.
Yep. It's a very common term.
Yeah.
Tiger mom,
So, so I.
Related to Tiger King?
No.
No.
Anyway. Alright, so, in the other place, Emily is kind of like, she seems like the de facto leader,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, so what are they going to do now that Emily's been murdered? That's like my question.
Snowflake's gotta step up. His
Snow,
game.
Snowflake's the guy, yeah. But like, oh, what was I gonna say? I don't remember.
So you were saying that Emily's the de facto leader in the imaginary world.
But
Yeah.
now
She's
she's
dead.
dead.
Now she's dead. She got shot. Right in the chest.
I
Did
know.
anyone think about the ones that were toilets? Like, who would imagine that's a toilet?
Well, my
There
best
were some
friend,
toilet ones.
my best friend's brother, he had an imaginary friend. His imaginary friend was a blue crayfish, or was it? It was a oh god,
not a
lobster. It
A
hides-
lobster?
No, it hides in the shell. Crayfish. It's not that. it's
A
not
A hermit crab?
Hermit crab. Thank you.
Oh.
Yeah, it was a lot. It was a blue
That's cool though.
hermit
Yeah, it's
crab.
not a toilet.
No, but that was his imaginary friend,
Yeah.
But the
and his name was Jack.
Just the point is that imaginary friends could be anything. It could be an inanimate object.
No, I was just because like there are like I like the scenes.
You spend a
when-
lot of time on the toilet. You know what I mean? So maybe you want to make a friend with the toilet.
I guess.
Yeah, if you're like a kid potty training.
Yeah.
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 that would make
I
sense.
guess
Be
maybe
like,
to
my
alleviate
friend
the
Toily.
nerve.
Like toilet's not evil. I love Toily.
Yeah.
That sounds too close to Towley.
Because I was looking at the background because when Emily introduces Roger to some of the more famous imaginary friends, so you have like Picasso's and like I thought that was interesting that they're still there.
Beethoven's metronome.
Yeah, and but like I was
it's
looking at
apropos.
yeah, the background ones. I was like, oh, someone has a toilet as an imaginary friend. Like I just thought like that was just I don't know. It's kind of interesting.
Who was your imaginary friend?
I don't have.
She
I never
said
had.
she never
one.
had one.
Yeah.
I never.
Were you
had
not
one.
paying attention?
No, he wasn't. He was
Clearly.
too busy
Did
criticizing.
everyone else have one?
No, I did not have an imaginary friend.
I didn't have an
It was,
imaginary
it was a
friend.
drag. It was like a water dragon.
See, and mine was Aladar from Dinosaur, so
Wow.
yeah. Thank you. At least someone had an imaginary friend.
To be fair, though, I have a very hard time. Like my imagination is not that great, so I have a hard time.
It's
like
not that imaginary.
Yeah, it's like I like visualization doesn't come easy for me, like in my mind. So I think that's probably the reason why I could never have one. Also, I think it's like, well, obviously this isn't the case, but like maybe having my sibling, but you still had an imagination. Like I don't know, why. Maybe it's because I just had no
My siblings are
imagination.
Well, I
significantly
mean,
older than me.
I'm an
Yeah.
only child, and I still didn't have an imaginary
Yeah, so,
friend.
like, so
so
I don't know why.
I
it's
don't
just-
think it's out of the norm. I think some
Yeah.
children do have imaginary friends, and some children just don't.
And I was actually looking at an article whether or not parents should be concerned for their children who talk about imaginary friends, like whether it should be encouraged. I was like, I'm not going to read this because it's going to make me like. I think some things are harmless. I think.
I think it
Well,
just
I
depends on age.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
I mean, if he starts being in high school and talking about the imaginary friend. I was like, okay, maybe
I think it's a
something
problem once you
needs
start talking to the imaginary friend.
But don't kids do that? Like,
But
oh,
when you're in
kids-
high school, like,
Oh.
yeah. Then you start talking to the
It's-
imaginary
it's-
friend
it's like
in
that-
class, you know what I mean?
It's like
Yeah.
that James Stewart movie.
It's when the imaginary friend talks back.
Yeah, that's when you get concerned.
It's a whole other that's a horror movie. Yeah, so what were the other questions you said you had about things that didn't make
I still don't understand them not remembering Emily after she dies.
Well, I genuinely think it's because she gave Roger the goggles. So Roger has a piece of her, but no one else does.
That makes
That's
sense.
what
I
yeah,
guess.
made sense to me.
That makes sense.
I guess, but it was never explained either. Like, Roger didn't
You
even
just
get
kind
an
of had
explanation
to
either.
infer it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't infer. Roger didn't infer.
I mean, Roger's something, so he's fine.
Roger's Roger.
He should have been crazier. He should have.
Yeah.
He should have been like I don't know.
He looks like a little sailboat page boy.
Yeah, at least give him a mohawk or something, you know what I mean? Like,
He's just very
switch it up a little bit, you know?
yeah. He looked more interesting as the ballerina.
Oh
with
yeah.
all the
He definitely
curls.
looked more interesting. Yeah.
Also really creepy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was,
So creepy.
was very creepy. Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah.
Excuse me.
Because I think also at that point he's sort of losing his core persona.
Well,
So I
yeah.
think
Oh.
that makes it even creepier.
And Julia is getting driven by her mom, and Roger jumps on the car, and Julia's scared. Why is she scared of the imaginary friend?
I don't know.
You know what I mean? Like, why is she scared of him?
Because I think the fact that she's seeing him outside of her imagination. He's in technically the real world.
But
That's just what
It's
I'm
still
thinking.
strange.
yeah, it like just doesn't fully track for me. Logistically.
No, I mean I understand what you're saying. You're
Yeah.
saying because because I saw pictures of the original book. It doesn't look like a chapter book. It looks like a picture book. So I don't know why she would be scared. The only thing that I would think, as you're saying, Lou, is that it doesn't make sense because in the reality it's not like you just see the imaginary friends in the imagined world.
In the context you put them in, but
Yeah.
in this, yeah. I guess I kind of get what Simone is saying though, because if your imaginary friend that you created is now independent of you and is doing
Okay.
its own things, that would be creepy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would
No.
be pretty horrifying.
And that's
Yeah.
what is happening.
Yeah. It's sort of like it's being blurred. Like at this point, reality, imagination,
Oh,
the
and
line is being
And
blurred.
I guess, actually, now that we're saying this out loud, Roger drops the picture, so
Yeah.
he's not attached to Julia anymore.
Anymore.
Yeah.
So the
Right.
fact that Julia sees him, I guess, would be.
Yeah.
But why does Julia see him then?
Because she's a child and she has an imagination.
That's true. I guess the one kid in the hospital turns and looks at Roger too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and children are more
And that's what
susceptible
they
to
explain
seeing
it in that
that.
monologue at the beginning that children see imaginary friends,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
adults don't.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that whole Santa Claus kind of a thing that children
Yeah.
suppose
Well, it's like the Rugrats.
Yeah.
The babies can understand each other.
Yes.
No matter where they go. Because they're babies.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's also kind of sad too because it talks about how, like once you reach a certain age, you're expected to sort of, it's gonna sound cliche, grow up, but almost like abandon, like almost the fanciful because now like this is real life. You have to adult, get over it. And children, thankfully, for the most part, are allowed to have that escape. But adults, I think, we are almost not permitted to have that form of escape. Because obviously, one of the more beautiful scenes is when her mom calls Fridge, or Fridge comes to the mom.
Fridge.
Because
I
the
love
mom
Fridge.
starts
Boy.
to remember
Boy.
him.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the beautiful moment how, even as an adult, she needs her imaginary friend. It's
Yeah.
it's a beautiful scene, and how Fridge still remembers her and hopes that she remembers him. You know,
and that
it's
she's
just,
happy. Like, that's what he wants out of life,
Yeah.
is for his human friend to be happy.
yeah.
Yeah.
So like, are we supposed to assume that all the imaginary friends in the world
If they haven't died.
go to this one library, or are we supposed to assume it's kind of like you got a library card here, you go to
Yes.
that library? All right,
Yeah.
I'm
It's
glad
an-
you said that.
It's an interlibrary loan system.
I'm glad you
I
said
thought
that.
they were all going to the same reality, like the same
In the
library.
world? Every imaginary in the world.
That's what I thought was happening.
But so this library is in the town that Amanda lives in.
Okay,
well,
but she lives in a
no,
city.
the town changes every day in the imaginary world.
The town
Like, remember they were talking about, like, oh yeah,
He
tonight
means
it's Paris,
that
tomorrow
the
it's gonna
library that
be-
exists is in Amanda's town,
Yeah.
though, like the physical building.
Oh, okay.
right?
Yeah.
So because
Well,
he out
okay.
of those things he got two kids that he recognized and knew. So like Roger,
He waited.
the hospital is in that town.
Okay, but
Just
he's an imaginary
go.
friend. He's never been to the hospital. He has no idea where it is. Amanda had never gone to the hospital. She
Just
doesn't know
go
where
find it.
it is. Okay, but
But-
you're giving him way too much credit.
Yeah, Lewis.
Like
He's
my
an
dude.
imaginary friend created
My
by
dude.
a child.
Yeah, and he's a little boy.
Yeah. What
And-
little girl's gonna know exactly where the hospital is, like the address, so
He
that.
seemed to know what an ambulance was and to follow
Okay,
that
but
ambulance.
the
okay, but
little
Amanda
girl-
would know what
no.
an ambulance is. Like you
Yeah.
have to. His knowledge comes from her, so everything
Yeah.
he knows about the world is from her
He's
point of view.
he's an extension of her.
Yes.
Yeah, so he would
And
only
also,
know what
think
Amanda
about
knows.
the creepy dude who's essentially stalking him wherever he
True.
goes.
He is.
So
True.
I
Got a
despise.
weird nose.
all of
I didn't get. Is he supposed to? It's almost like
It's so
is
Does he
that
have a
like
cold?
is that an anime trope? Like I was kind. I wish Amanda.
I've seen enough characters like that, like the
I'm
spider
just
guy in
wondering what it's
Spirited
supposed
Away,
to denote. Like I don't know.
Sonic's villain.
Yeah.
Oh
Eggman.
yeah.
Yeah.
He did kind of look like Sonic.
He
He
looks a
looked a
lot
lot like
like-
Eggman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause that's.
Eggman. I'll look it up. All
Okay.
right, continue.
But yeah,
talking.
he no, I did not like.
Yeah, no,
He
the creep
definitely-
factor was.
Yeah, he
On
is
full
certainly
alert.
coded a certain way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, he wears like doesn't he wear Hawaiian shirts? No, maybe not. Maybe no.
No, he does. Yeah.
Yeah. I
Oh,
think
he
he
does.
did,
Okay. I'm like his.
I don't remember.
You don't like Hawaiian shirts, Simona?
No. Oh yeah, he does. I have an
Him in-
image.
in
Yeah.
The last
Yeah.
picture, but yeah, no, I really don't like his design. But yeah, the way that I looked at it with the library is that all of the imaginary friends that are found before they can die are brought to that library. That's why there is a lot of them, but there aren't an obscene amount of them because you can only get to so many. You can only save so many. Which is another layer of sadness provided by this movie.
Yes.
So speaking of sadness, I will say, one of the scenes that really captivated me and kind of like I was like, oh, this is decent. Is
It's
the
not Bubble.
is not Bubble is the part where she's remembering about her father
Yeah.
and the mother finds the umbrella
Yeah.
and then it says don't forget Dad, protect Mom, and never
Never
cry or
cry.
something like that.
Yep.
And then you see Amanda's like kind of like memory of her father and the beach and everything like that, and then her crying, and then that's when Roger kind of comes to her. I was like, yo, that scene hits.
Yeah.
That scene hits.
No, I started crying.
Yeah.
Yeah. 'cause
I
it's-
definitely got emotional after
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I liked that scene. Fridge
Yeah.
talking about
Lizzie.
Lizzie. Yeah, that
Yeah. That really got
was
me.
good.
When
yeah.
he just says like, "Is she happy?" I was
Yeah.
like, oh.
I also, I also liked Roger being like, yeah, she says your name every day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. It was very sweet. And then he starts to realize that maybe it's not the imaginary friend that she's talking about, but he's like, no. You can create your own reality and believe what you want to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which adds like another layer to it that's a
Yeah.
little existential. Yeah.
I even felt for Emily too when she talks about her own friend that she had, and when eventually the friend, Did she say she didn't forget me? She
died.
She died.
Her friend died.
Yeah, because she was created because her friend was in the hospital, and then she just never left.
Yeah.
I liked how blunt Emily was too, because there was the
Yeah.
one part where I forget what she was, but he was like, what happens if somebody's imaginary dies or something like that, or I forget what it was. But then she goes, what happens to the human? And she goes, I don't know, maybe their soul dies. I was like, oh my god,
Yeah.
Emily, who hurt you?
I liked Emily. I liked how blunt she was.
Yeah.
I think it's also because Emily is the one essentially holding everything together, so to speak. So she has to, and one would assume she's been there for a very long time.
Like,
she's one of the older ones.
She's a firm grasp of reality.
Yeah.
And she is a realist. So when he's like, no, I have to get to Amanda, and she's like, she's probably dead. She got hit by a car, and she's probably dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why she doesn't remember you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, well, Jesus, okay. Yeah, I guess it's true, but...
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that she kind of burst his bubble.
Yeah.
No hope. No hope whatsoever.
Trying to get him to accept his new reality so that he can move on and heal and maybe find a new human.
Yeah.
But he doesn't.
Yeah.
Amanda wakes up from her coma, and then at the end, she's like, "Let's go on one final adventure."
Yeah, he leaves at the end. Like, they say goodbye, and he,
Yeah, like
leaves.
why?
Because I think also
Maybe-
he'd served his purpose. Like, remember that they
Well,
had said, like,
yeah.
what's the answer to the question? Like, that thing is that how they phrase it? Like, what's your answer? What's something like, I thought there was one point where Emily says something about you have to find the answer or something like that. And I think he finally realizes what his purpose is and that he's achieved his purpose and that Amanda will be fine without him. She has acknowledged her. I mean, you can tell she's grieving, but she hasn't been probably grieving in a healthy way. I know she's a child. I don't know how a child can grieve healthily. But, so I think he can finally leave her because he knows that she's okay. Like, she'll be okay.
Oh, that's even sadder then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
The Imaginaries need a new leader. Emily's dead.
Yeah.
He can kind of step into that role until he finds
Yeah.
a new child, or maybe he'll never find a new child. We
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah, that just
Yeah.
makes it all the more depressing.
Yeah, it's like one of those bittersweet things, but I love how, for example, maybe not having your imaginary friend could be heartbreaking, but I love how this says, well, how does the imaginary feel about it? So, like, it's an interesting perspective, like, how no one, obviously no one thinks about the imaginary because they're not real, but in this universe, it's like, considering the perspective of the imaginary.
Who has the imaginary the imaginary
Yeah,
friend.
yeah, so, yeah, and also how it's another form of coping. And also,
Yeah.
like, the
Well,
young
yeah.
boy that takes the Crusher of... Well, he doesn't take Crusher of Souls. Crusher of Souls sort of finds his person.
You mean Crusher of Bones?
Yeah, Crusher of Bones,
Cruncher.
sorry. Cruncher of Bones,
'Cause
sorry.
He goes crunch, 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 crunch.
Cruncher of Bones. I love Cruncher of Bones. But he finds his person, and that little boy also, you don't get the feeling that he probably has a lot of friends, because you see him once where Amanda says, you can sit here, and they start talking, so he also, has found, so Cruncher of Bones has found his person, but also the person has, I like that scene.
Yeah.
And it's so cute. I love
thought
the
this
heart
movie-
eyes.
I really went into this movie thought it was going to be a little more uplifting than what I got.
Yeah.
I told you. I had started, and I was like, this is going to be sad.
Yeah.
This is going to be sad. And then it was.
Yeah.
Because it's about imaginary friends.
Yeah.
And that, I think that just lends itself to being sad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's ephemeral. Your
Yeah.
imaginary friend is ephemeral. It's
Yeah.
not made to last.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you are gonna forget them.
Yeah.
Maybe I did have an imaginary friend. I just don't remember. And they're off at the library.
Yeah, now they're in
somewhere.
the library.
Yeah.
I mean, they're living their best life.
Yeah.
They're helping other kids be happy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I feel like it's like, yeah. So I I'm happy that we started off on a good sad note for this series. This is good. This is good.
I did think this was biting that Ghibli style a lot, though.
Well, it's the same artist.
Yeah, I know the guy who directed this work did key animation for Ghibli, but I'm still like, all right, buddy,
Yeah.
find your own lane.
Well, eventually when Hayao Miyazaki retires, which hopefully will be many, many years from now, because I love his work too much to see him retire, like maybe they'll find their style. Although what I will say, the animation in this one compared to Mary, I didn't like it as much as Mary and the Witch's Flower. Like something about it seemed off to me.
So a lot of what I was reading about this was like, oh, it's hand drawn, but like there's a lot of CG backgrounds, and I was like, okay, you're getting off on a technicality here, like.
Yeah.
There's a lot of CG.
You can almost tell too with some of the way like there was one part where like Emily and Roger are kind of like moving across the screen, and it's like I don't know, just the way they looked. It was like
It was
like they
wonky.
didn't like fit with the background.
It was wonky.
Yeah. Yeah. That being said, it didn't like I don't know, it didn't throw me off or anything. It didn't like take me out of it at all.
No, I thought the
No.
animation was pretty nice, but
yeah.
The thing that really
It's
took
a little-
me. Yeah.
No, I was just gonna. It can be a little unfair to be like, oh, this isn't as good as the best thing I've ever seen.
Right,
You
right.
know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing that really took me out of it was, like I said, watching it in English. That was my mistake, watching half of it in English, because the kid, the English kid, Roger, terrible. I mean, he shouldn't voice act. I'm sorry. I know he's probably an actual child, but he shouldn't be a voice actor.
Not yet. Maybe
yeah.
he'll like learn and grow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, don't
Maybe
like...
maybe he needs to get his imaginary friend to do the voice acting for him, because my goodness, it was terrible. I was like, this kid,
This is
I
like
can't.
your Jungle Book
Yeah.
review.
Yeah.
Wait, like Disney's Jungle Book?
Yeah, I when I was in high school, I wrote.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, I've told you that. Yeah.
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 I
So
don't know this story.
I wrote for the newspaper, but I wanted to be like I wanted to write like the Onion articles.
Oh,
Yeah.
You know.
okay.
So my editor asked me to review the play The Jungle Book that the school was putting on,
Oh,
but it was put on by like the elementary school, and I tore it apart. The article name, the name of the article was The Bare Necessities, BARE. And I brought it to her, and she was like, "You can't do this."
do you still have that article?
No, I can't.
Oh, I would
So
love
funny,
to read
though.
that.
Yeah, I tore it apart. These 7 and 8 year old kids just tore them apart.
No.
Yeah,
I love that though.
yeah,
It's just-
yeah.
So,
Listen, I got standards. That's all it is. Sorry.
so does anyone have like a favorite character?
Crunch
Or-
of bones.
Crunchy of bones.
Crunch, 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 crunch.
The hearts in his eyes.
I really liked Emily. I thought she was cool. She dies though,
Yeah.
so I
Yeah.
didn't get enough of her. But then I'd have to go with Fridge, my boy Fridge.
Fridge,
I love
Fridge
Fridge.
over here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That like LeVar Burton cameo in the English dub too.
Yeah.
Yeah, Fridge was really good, and like I said, I love the scene where he comes and he helps out Amanda's mom, and I just love that moment when she also remembers him.
Remember, Simba.
It was very much like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. He even like ran out of like that little hallway fucking thing was very
Yeah.
That scene was very nerve-wracking, though, where, like, you think the mom's gonna get stuck. It's like, oh my god, will she ever escape from the wall? And will Fridge come? And I was like, yes, he's here. So it was...
Also, Bunting's not really eating them. He's, like, inhaling them.
Yeah.
Like-
Are we gonna go that technical?
Like, I think it would have been cooler if he was, like, just like taking a chomp out of them. You know what I mean?
Well,
Like,
his throat turns into like mosaic tiles.
yeah. What is that?
I
Like,
kind of would have wished they
yeah,
would have
that-
stuck with all the teeth that you first see when his mouth first opens, because that was legitimately terrifying.
Yeah.
And then it became like
mosaic tile.
no,
yeah.
because then I can't take it seriously. Like, you're going through mosaic tiles, like
Well,
versus
I
you're going
mean-
through jagged
I still
teeth.
liked that design, though. I don't know.
I don't know. Felt kind of
that
weird.
that hole with his throat turning into mosaic tiled like really bothered me.
Yeah, I like
Like
the
it,
teeth.
like I wanted to scratch at it. It bothered me. Yeah.
also the Japanese version. The guy that plays Bunting just sounds better to me too.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Not the guy from
Yeah.
Ted Lasso.
Yeah.
Wait, it's the
100%.
dude from Ted Lasso?
Yeah, it's the guy that plays.
I don't watch Ted Lasso.
It's Elizabeth. He's.
I thought it was going
I
to be
don't-
the angry guy, honestly.
I actually don't. Oh no, it's not him. I don't remember his name in Ted Lasso
I
or like
didn't
what
even-
his title was.
I didn't even know.
He was
I'd have to look.
like Elizabeth treated him like her secretary, but I don't actually know what his title was. He was like the little sniveling guy in Ted Lasso.
With the glasses? Did he
Yeah.
wear glasses? Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
I know who you're talking about.
He also has a
I
red
have no
nose.
memory of this place.
But yeah, it was a weird acting choice.
Yeah, he was
Yeah.
weird. And again, Kumar was just not for me
No.
in this role.
Yeah, I like Cal Penn. I don't know what he was doing here.
Yeah.
Also, like, was anyone a little bit bothered by Zinzan's design?
Oh, that's what I was gonna bring up
I liked
before.
his design.
Thank you, Simona.
You're welcome.
So, Emily, as much as I liked Emily, when Rudge gets to the imaginary world,
Yeah.
and he's like, and she asks, "What color were Zinzan's eyes?" And then he says like the red and the blue, but he gets the
Backwards.
Yeah, he gets them backwards. She like calls him out on it. Like if this was not a children's movie, if this was like a Will Ferrell movie, like I could just see Rudge being like, "Well, you, sorry, I don't remember it exactly the way it
Yeah.
was." Like, and also like
Colors, right?
I don't know what that means. Like she's like, "No, you're not remembering it right. They were the other way." Well,
I think it was like you're already forgetting. I think she's trying to emphasize like how easy it is to forget.
Also,
Fair.
to also, you should like
You're like,
construe
well,
reality
like-
to sort of fit what you want to
But
see.
I liked his design. He looked like a Pokemon.
He does look.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
like
it-
it.
I think for
Pokemon.
me it was the fur. Like, I was trying to figure, and I know this is not the most important detail,
He's
but
got a
my mi-
mane.
Yeah.
But it kind of looks like he has a fur collar, but it just never. Whatever. Anyway, it's not important. It's just.
Oh,
me.
I thought he was missing hair too.
He's very shaggy.
Yeah.
I feel like that was unnecessary. Like, I could have done whatever. Anyway, it's not important. It's just something that kind of threw
The
me.
two different color dyed cat is fine, but
Yeah.
the mane is not.
Yeah, the mane is
Okay.
what's throwing
That's
me.
too far.
That's.
That's too far.
Gucci mane.
Okay, so
I love Gucci.
Yeah, me too,
I need to
actually.
read his autobiography. It's
He
apparently
has an
amazing.
autobiography.
Yeah, apparently it's
Yeah.
amazing.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Do we own that?
I'll check it out.
I'm changing
Ask the
my
reference
I'm
librarians.
changing my book choice to
I'll read it if you put
Gucci
it as your
Mane autobiography.
I will read
Yeah. Okay. It's on. We definitely have it in the system.
What's it called? Please be a cool title.
It's just called the autobiography of Gucci Mane.
Um,
Wow.
No, we don't have a copy here in Mayapack, but
who orders biographies?
No, that's
Hillary.
Hillary.
You said Annalisa?
no,
Allison.
Oh, Allison. Oh.
Hillary.
Hillary.
Oh.
but yeah, like he wrote it after.
I could ask her.
You could.
I could ask her to order it.
You could.
But yeah, he wrote it after his time in prison, so like it's him sort of reflecting on all
Prison.
that. And
Awesome.
have you ever heard "First Day Out the Feds"?
Maybe.
Horrifying song.
Yeah?
Yeah. Oh. Like genuinely, I think like some of the most cutting
Oh, I've been
Yeah?
talking
stuff
about
ever.
really
Oh,
different
I'm
Gucci.
sorry,
Never
I'm
mind.
talking too much about Gucci Mane.
No, I
Italian Gucci?
I have to listen to that song.
Gucci Mane's a rapper.
I might have heard that. Song. I'm not
Sorry,
good
I
with
have to
song
do it too.
titles. What's the song? I'd have to look up the song I'm thinking of. But it's definitely not that because it's like a fun song.
Forefront of her.
Well, he took the name
Mine.
after the brand.
No. It's,
This is Gucci Mane.
oh, okay.
He gives a great performance in Spring Breakers.
Yeah, he does.
Yes.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
So, do we want to give it a review? Like,
Let's
what are
do
we
it.
rating it? Out of what?
Let's rate it out of fridges.
Fridges?
Fridges.
Okay.
His Fridge's full name is refrigerator, so.
I'll bat lead off. You know, it's not the best thing I've ever seen. That being said, it's not the worst thing I've ever seen. The worst thing I've ever seen is Bubble. That was a crime against humanity, Bubble.
Do I need to watch this movie? Just
Yes.
So
I mean, if you
Because
want
he's
to waste an hour and a half of your life, yeah, sure. No, it was.
He just can't get over the way the bubbles form. That's his hang-up.
How did the bubbles form?
I mean, it was the laziest piece of art I've ever seen
Damn.
in a movie.
I didn't even watch the movie, but I saw the image because I had to put it in the episode, and it does not look right.
Yeah.
No,
Okay.
it's supposed to be a girl turning into bubbles, but it just looked like bubbles were on top of her. It was very.
Oh, it was really bad. Okay.
Yeah. So this, I felt things other than anger in this one. I enjoyed things other than the end credits in this one. So I'm gonna give it a 3.5 out of 5. Fridges.
I'm going to give it a 4 fridges. Just because I wasn't expecting to be really sad throughout the entire movie, and by the end of it.
You're welcome.
So does that detract from the 5 fridge?
It does for me.
Yeah, it does.
Oh.
'Cause
See,
I
the
thought
fact
it was
that I
gonna be a
felt
little more
something, the
uplifting.
fact that I felt sadness actually adds.
Yeah,
to it.
that's what
See,
that softens me on the film for the most
it
part.
made me feel, which is why I'm giving it a 3 out of 5 fridges. But I also did not want to be sad today, and here we are.
Yeah.
I'm quite
Look at what
sad
you did,
now.
Simona.
I'm quite sad. I've cried several
Unbelievable.
times this morning.
By the way, I left my cookie somewhere. Her mom brought
But-
cookies and I left it somewhere. I have no idea where
I
it
did
is.
really appreciate the smaller scenes, like when she's talking to her dad, and that really, yeah, that broke my heart.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was legit sad.
You're welcome. I'm
But
so happy.
also, it's very existential, and it's Friday morning.
Yeah.
Why, Simona?
It's almost like too existential for me. It was like too far out there. I was like, come back a little bit.
But I think that's what you can appreciate in that the people who created this film, though, trust that children. I mean, obviously there might be some things that go over a child's head, but also, what I appreciate is that they're not talking down to children.
Yeah, no.
Which I think
Yeah, I
too
do like
often
that, yeah.
happens with children's cartoons, where you talk down to the child. What I appreciate is that they're not doing that in this film, and they're also acknowledging that a child's response to pain, to trauma, is valid, and the way they process the pain is
Didn't
valid.
we do a whole series not too long ago?
On Time to Cry.
Yeah.
That's what this should have been.
Yeah.
It should have been Time
No,
to Cry.
I'm just saying. It feels weird to be like, this is too sad.
Yeah,
and
this
too
is the
existential.
one that broke us.
Because I wanted it to be like a fun, fantastical adventure.
Well, yeah, I
that's
think-
what I thought
Yeah.
I was getting.
Yeah, I think
But
when
that's
you
not
look
what
at
I
this,
got.
you don't expect, and it starts off where you're like, oh, okay, this is gonna be a little
False sense of security.
whimsical movie, and
To
then
be fair,
And then she gets hit by a car.
I was basing it on the trailer, and the trailers don't talk about any
Yeah.
of this. So I personally went through the trauma with you guys. I just processed it differently.
Yeah, this would have been a good Time to Cry pick, but it was not what I expected out of our first
Yeah.
fantasy, which is I think why it hit harder
Yeah.
because I wasn't expecting it.
Maybe I should have gone last. But yeah. So
We can only go up from here.
We can only go up
so-
from here.
we definitely will, and with the film choices, we definitely will be going up, with the exception
Mine's
of Lose, because
hysterical.
Lose will bring us back down and traumatize us in other ways.
What did you
wow.
pick?
Pan's Labyrinth.
Oh,
yeah.
God.
I haven't seen the one I picked, so
Okay.
we'll discover it together.
Nice.
I think most people have seen mine, but it's a fun time.
It
so.
is fun.
What's yours?
The Dungeons and Dragons movie.
Oh
Yes.
yeah, that's a fun.
Yeah, I
I
can't wait
haven't
for
seen
Pan's
it, so
Labyrinth.
That's a good.
I think
What
Pan's
again?
I don't
Labyrinth.
I don't
That-
know if anyone else aside from me and Simona have seen my pick.
I don't know what your pick is.
Willow.
I've seen Willow.
Oh, okay, cool.
I have not. I know it's
know what
Warwick
that is.
Davis. That's all.
And Val Kilmer.
Ah,
Yeah.
It's an 80s fantasy film that they.
That I grew up watching.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
a Ron
We
Howard
don't like
movie.
it, so it's fine.
I picked that that George Miller movie, 3,000 Years of Longing, with
Oh, okay,
Tilda
yeah.
and Idris Elba.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
I haven't seen it, but hey, George Miller re-rolls, so probably
Yeah.
gonna be good.
So I would give the film 3.5 out of 5 fridges.
Oh my God, we're still doing ratings.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry. I
We
fine.
digressed a little.
I'll hit it with 3.
Yeah.
I like
3
it.
fridges.
Yeah.
All right, so thank you all for watching. Join us next time for another fantasy fit pick. And I'm going to go talk to the head of reference about getting that Gucci Mane autobiography for you. So, until next time.
Bye, everyone.